Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to a new year of the Damn Podcast. Happy New Year. I am your host, Angie Machado. Joined with me, as always, is BeaverBlitz beat writer Jake Hedberg and contributor Ty Boice. Happy New Year, fellas. How's it going?
So pretty good. How about you guys?
Good. It's really good. Yeah. Life's good.
Life is good. Yeah, I was actually in Mexico last weekend and went through a 6.2 earthquake. That was kind of interesting.
Oh.
That was a little wake me up from the middle of the night, but hey, it's all good. We're here. Lots to talk about. It's been about a month since our last damn podcast. We are going to just get a quick rundown of the show. New year, new faces in the Valley Football Center. So there's been some coaching movement, some coaching changes. There's been some player moves with the portal. We're going to talk a little bit about the meaningful transfers in and the meaningful transfers out. What Oregon State has lost, what they've gained. We are going to talk too about men's basketball. Huge game. That's why we're coming to you early today, 10:30 live a.m., just because we wanted you guys to have a little preview before Gonzaga comes to town tonight in Gill. So huge game in Gill. If you don't have tickets, get them. My son just texted me and said there's 90 tickets on SeatGeek. He was trying to talk me into letting him and his buddies drive down in the fog to Corvallis. 17. Don't know about that one. Yeah.
We got to show up for Gonzaga. They're about to be long-term rivals too.
Yes. So they're ranked 16th in the country. Jake will have us covered on that. But no, it's going to be a good show. If you have questions and you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to pop those in the comments. We'll try to get to those as they come. We have a ton of damn questions in the lodge at BeaverBlitz. And if you're watching us on Twitter, welcome. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, we're excited that you are listening to us on that platform as well. Lots of platforms here. But guys, okay, let's talk a lot about coaching because there's been a lot of movement. It started with running back coach Thomas Ford being promoted to or getting the job as head coach at Idaho. Big loss, only here for a year, but I think what he was as a recruiter, I think is big. Jake, you're nodding your head. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think I'd say Coach Ford was arguably the most valuable piece recruiting wise on Lester's staff. He was not only that, but a great coach as well. And he's going to have a very successful career as a head coach. Super great guy. And wish Coach Ford all the best.
Yeah. We talked about this, I think Jake and I, maybe off the, a lot of times you bring in young position coaches. They have aspirations to move up the ladder. So, Oregon State went out and found it. I think it's going to be a good one. I have not met him in person yet, but Ray Pickering from Buffalo had some big helped his unit put up big numbers for Buffalo. He was just announced last week. Then the Beavers went and lost tight end coach John Boyer, who is now the quarterback coach with Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. Were you surprised by this move, guys?
Not really. Coach Boyer is a guy who played quarterback. He coached quarterbacks during his time at Oregon State up until this past season. So, it's totally understandable to go somewhere where he's familiar and get the opportunity to coach the position he wants to coach.
Why did he not initially go? That was my question too, because he was popular with
Chiles.
Yeah, he was. So maybe it's just that relationship alone. And I guess with like the coaching hierarchy, quarterback coach does seem to step into offensive coordinator, which steps into oftentimes head coach. So if he's chasing down that, if he's chasing that dragon, then maybe that's just the way of it, the course of it.
Yeah, because like when Ryan Gunderson was hired, obviously he is the quarterback coach, OC.
Yeah.
Played the position. And it was interesting because Lindgren was actually brought on at Michigan State as the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator. And now I don't know if it's demotion. I don't know if it's just bringing someone in to work with Aiden. I don't know. But for whatever Coach Boyer left, they moved really quickly on this one in promoting Will Heck. I know he played at Linfield, was a GA down at Cal for a couple years, but a local Corvallis kid, went to Crescent Valley. longtime connection with Coach Bray. What do you like about that hire, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Heck's a super young and energetic guy. He's a guy that the players love. They've spent the past year with Coach Heck. I think he's going to do a really good job recruiting. We kind of saw it already. His first, even like the first day or two after Coach Heck got promoted, he offered a handful of tight ends, and all three of them, talking to them, all three of them really raved about Coach Heck, and they liked how personable Coach Heck was, and I think it's a great addition. I think the more young, recruiting savvy coaches you have, the better, and that's what Coach Heck is. And I'm excited to see how he develops as a coach over the next handful of seasons.
I mean, Coach Heck was really involved with the tight ends last season. Yeah. The question, and this is where I think you bring up a good point, Jake. The young, energetic coach that can hit the recruiting trail. However, he has no experience on the recruiting trail. So I think that's going to be something to watch as he builds those relationships, although he's hungry. And I think that's going to be – do we know what his territory is? Is he Texas?
It's a good question. He has been hitting Texas and Colorado hard. So
okay.
He's also got those connections in Cal as well. And he's also a state of Oregon guy, having coached and played at Linfield. So I don't know if it's just me, but it kind of seems like the recruiting areas is kind of starting to die out. I feel like we haven't really seen that as much, at least with this staff.
Yeah. I was wondering too, didn't he I saw that he was a GA at Cal, but didn't he also spend some time at his alma mater at Linfield coaching?
Yeah. From 22 to 23 as an offensive line coach.
Huh. Nice. I do like the Linfield connection. I really do. I feel like that they are not in any kind of derogatory way, but it is kind of a little brother school in a good way. And that's a storied program too, Yeah.
So I wonder, did Heck coach Mahalichek's son? Because Mahalichek's son played at Linfield as well. So
probably
there. Sorry. That's my little Cliff Clavin useless knowledge fact there. Jake, you do not know who Cliff Clavin is, so just let it go.
With Pickering, did he I think I said that right. He also was the OC at Norfolk State?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
didn't they have a pretty, and I'm not suggesting anything. He was the OC, but didn't they, I read conflicting things where they had like an incredible rushing attack, yet they didn't. I thought I saw that they didn't win a lot of games in 2003. Oh, maybe that was wrong. Maybe it was 2002 he was at Norfolk. Or no.
2022 he was at Texas. 23 he was at Norfolk State. And the last year he was at Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the south, and this one was a little different. And I do know Coach Gunderson looked at a lot of people, and I think this one a lot of people kind of thought, well, this one's out of left field. There was no, a lot of times in coaching, you're looking when there's coaching changes, you're looking for the kind of the connection and where the piece fits. This is a new person, right? I mean, this is not under any of the coaching trees so this is a new connection, but he's from the South, from Mississippi originally. And so I'm excited to see what he brings. I think there's some excitement there. Like I said, Buffalo had a great year on the rushing side. So just another, I think, some new blood and a new face there that can, maybe bring in some new ideas. Then the big news that it's been on the horizon here for a little bit, but still working through some of this. But defensive coordinator Keith Hayward resigned his position. And this was all personal. I know there was a lot of speculation. Was he asked to leave? No, he was not. This was personal. Coach Hayward's gone through. Well, he lost a parent, lost his father, this summer, and it's been a rough road. So he's going through some personal things. Wanted to step back. Has a couple young kids. So it sounds like, and I don't think this has been announced yet, but Coach Bray is possibly going to take over some from DC coaching duties or calling the defense, which I like. I love that because, he wants to run his defense. And then the news that broke yesterday is another young coach that has been on staff, Kyrie Marshall, has been elevated to edge rush coach or edge rusher, D end coach for full time. So he will be on the road recruiting as well. So that gives you Will Heck and Kyrie Marshall, two very young, very relatable. I mean, these guys are close in age to some of these players. Kyrie Marshall played at Boise State at a pretty high level. So what are your thoughts there, guys?
Again, I mean, it kind of fits the mold. A young coach, very energetic, can recruit well. And I think this move as a whole is a good thing because it allows Coach Bray to take back over the Oregon State defense. There's some more sledding around too. Coach Cooper is bumping back to coach defensive backs with Coach Chance. Again, I think that's a great move too. It kind of gives Coach Coop more knowledge of the defense as a whole, as he's potentially groomed to take over for Trent Bray at defensive coordinator eventually.
I saw that too. That just what I was thinking, that same thing. It seems like he's their guy,
Yeah, I mean, Coach Cooper's a hell of a coach. I know Trent Bray thinks very highly of Coach Cooper, and I think he is going to be a great coach.
There you go. Yeah, I was wondering that yesterday. I was like, wow, it seems like they are like, it's not so subtle that they're really bringing him up and giving him more responsibilities, moving him around the field too, and they trust him to do that. I think it speaks to also that I think a lot of times we as fans want to see like some kind of splash, like Brady Hoke was mentioned a lot. And I know you'll probably get to this, Angie, so I'll table that. But it seems like Bray has his own process, and he's promoting guys within, which is always interesting,
I know, like Jake said too, so Coach Cooper was here as a GA under Coach Smith and worked under Coach Bray. And then, left, got a full-time job, and now is back with him. So he's young, 24/7, has him as one of the top 30 under 30 coaches. So
who does
24/7 sports?
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
He's one of the young up and coming coaching minds, and just the more he can, learn the different positions and such, and then learn Coach Bray's defense, even more so. So
who's the oldest coach on Oregon State's staff? Is it Tuiaki or Bray? I think Bray might be the second oldest.
I don't know how old he is, but yeah. And what's Bray like?
He's
40s. Yeah,
he's like my age. I think he's like 40. Well, I mean,
he's 42.
Yeah, only a couple years older than me. Yeah. And real quick, Angie, you mentioned something in the lodge that I thought was so cool, where there is a lot of speculation and conjecture about the Keith Hayward, or just Hayward. Coach Hayward. You said something that I thought was really important, and I've got friends of friends that are close to him or played with him or whatever, and you said wisely that the guy's a Beaver. This is not something where anybody did anything wrong necessarily or anything like that. That this guy that has to take care of some things that are bigger than football, and I think that's cool. Yeah. I think that guy is a Beaver, and I think he came here with a heart to help his alma mater, and I think he did that. I think he's a great recruiter. And I don't think as a coordinator we can talk about this or whatever, but I do think it's hard to judge based on all the unplanned things that happened in that defense this year.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Is we can sit and talk about the failures and successes of the defense or adjustments, whatever. I mean, we can dive into the weeds, but at the end of the day, this was a team that was a defensive side, especially decimated by injury. I mean, completely. So and that's when we talk the next thing, when we start talking about player and meaningful transfers in, I don't even have them listed, but I think one of the things that you have to remember as a Beaver fan is there's going to be a lot of new faces that you might have forgot about if you're a casual fan that are going to be coming back from injury. So it's like another whole group of players entering the mix. We've been, but yeah, he's a total Beaver through and through. I think it was great to have him. And I did read that, Coach Bray said, anytime you want to come back, you've got a spot. So this wasn't, I saw speculation that he was looking for a new job, and no, this is taking care of family issues and with his family. And this is totally not even about Coach Hayward, but this is something that I think looking ahead, bigger picture with college football right now is something that we're going to see potentially maybe rear with, it used to be college football had specific recruiting times, and you built your team and you had your team. Now it's basically open free agency every single year. You're re-recruiting your roster and recruiting the portal and recruiting preps. It is 24/7, 12 months of the year. There is no downtime. So it's going to be really interesting to see some of these college coaches that maybe do look potentially to go to the pros. The pros has a downtime. The pros actually has a little more time for family life. And that, like I said, this is kind of a little side tangent here, but it is something that I'm going to watch. And it's the lack of, college coaches get into coaching because they want to develop players and they love that relationship and they want to help build men. And now you have guys that are saying, how much are you paying me? And I'm bolting after 9 months.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different area. It's a totally, I think we're going to see some things play out over the next few years. I mean, it's one of the reasons Saban got out when he did. It's changing very quickly. We have a comment. Is Coach Fentz still on staff? Yes, Coach Fentz. So that is in a whole, that is the changes. So Oregon State lost, just to kind of recap, Thomas Ford, John Boyer, and Coach Hayward. They picked up Ray Pickering from Buffalo. Kyrie Marshall was an internal promotion, and Will Heck was an internal promotion. So staff is full right now. So the question then is, how does Coach Bray, if he's the defensive coordinator, how does he handle, some of the day-to-day stuff? And this was something, I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but there was some rumblings when Brady Hoke was in town that maybe he would help in an analyst assistant type role. But this was something I even thought last year, since Coach Bray had never been a head coach, bring in somebody that has been a head coach that can help you kind of with the. So that is yet to be seen. But right now the staff is full. We're all set. And spring ball is probably, we haven't heard for sure, but probably starting
March.
What is it?
The first week of March.
First week of March. Yep.
Nice.
So first week of March. So we're getting close.
Oh, that timing is awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So
that works for me, guys.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's for Ty. It works for me. It works for Jake. Hopefully, Jake doesn't have class. Jake, you gotta, finagle some.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So that's the off-season coaching move. So all in all, we're gonna say, what are your thoughts? Let's start with Ty.
I think it's interesting that, and I'm not implying one thing or the other, but I think it's interesting that you didn't see a ton of movement on the offensive side of things. Like we just got that question: is Coach Finn still on staff? I mean, I think that Coach Bray's probably playing chess here, not checkers. You know what I mean? And it's interesting that we're not hitting the panic button. We obviously will get to it later. The transfer moves. But yeah, there's no panicking on the offensive side of things or anything like that. That everything was either happened because unfootball related or there was a tight end coach move. It was pretty quiet, knock on wood. You know what I mean?
It was, like I said, especially after the year we had, last year, where it was complete chaos. So that's then moving ahead to player moves. Last year was nuts. If we were doing this podcast a year ago, we were talking about basically lost half a roster, lost the coaching staff. We were trying to get everything back put together. I mean, there was a coaching staff in place and they were trying to just fill holes. It was like a boat that was taking on water. This year was different. This was I would say, we're pretty equal. It's, according to 24/7, 10 guys out, 11 guys in, or vice versa, 11 guys out, 10 guys in. Some of those guys are counting or walk-ons. So it doesn't count on the Scully side, but looking at some meaningful transfers that went out, the Beavers lost Isaiah Chisholm to UCLA and Andre Jordan to UCLA. Melvin Jordan ended up at Georgia Tech. Giovanni McCoy is at Texas State, and Luka Vincic transferred to Michigan State. Thoughts on guys departing? I mean, besides wishing them well, and
I'd argue that the most impactful out of those is Luka Vincic, actually.
Yeah.
Even though while he didn't necessarily start compared to all of those guys started 8-9 plus games, I think Vincic was going to be a shoo-in to start at offensive guard. And really, I feel like having experience on the offensive line's arguably one of the more important aspects, if not the most important aspect. And he was pretty much our second most experienced offensive lineman heading into next season, which is pretty crazy because it feels like he just got here yesterday. But now without him, Oregon State is breaking in another guy, whereas I feel like Vintage was probably in the eyes of the coaching staff their number 2 offensive lineman. Outside of Hanwell's.
Yeah. I wonder, and I think this was also mentioned in the lodge, and if you're not in the lodge, you really should sign up for BeaverBlitz. I think it was mentioned in the lodge. I wonder if those 2 middle linebackers, those 2 inside linebackers, if that doesn't change. And I know there's a narrative there, Angie, and you can speak to that, about an NIL ask. But I wonder if that doesn't change their mind a little bit with Bray going back to coaching middle linebackers, because they would have come to play for him.
Yeah. And I think some of it is NIL. And I think some of these guys get in their head a little bit, or they get agents in their head thinking that, they're going to ask for the moon. And
well, they did land at good spots. I mean, I look at all the transfers out, and I would agree with Jake. Like, I think Luke, like that he hurt the most. Vivage hurt the most, but like, almost all those guys, like, go good for you guys, like good for you. Like last year, there was a lot of like, you know what I mean? Like, like Cybo, why, DJ, why, like, and it more or less worked out for some of them than others. But like this year, I'm like, good for you. Like, McCoy's going to Texas State. I'm like, that probably is a great fit for him,
And I think, I have a comment too, that I just got a DM, about the collective doing a really good job, but they hope that the collective is also taking care of the current roster as well. So that's a tough thing, because then you will have schools that have a bigger budget. That's where I think someone is like Joshua Gray is so impactful. And that's, the coaches have told me too, it's building a culture that the guys want to be here, because Oregon State maybe can't compete with paying each player, $1 million. But if there's a good culture, I mean, Joshua Gray was like, no, these are my brothers. And I'm getting offered crazy amounts of money to go elsewhere, but I want to be here, and I'm doing well, and I'm making some money, and I'm playing the game I love. So I think it's twofold. It's recruiting a certain type of player, and not that you're going to keep them all, but a certain type of player that understands that it's not just the money. And I think Oregon State now is able to maybe turn to some of those guys that did chase money, and maybe it didn't work out, as they had hoped. And you get agents in your ear, you get people telling you. I mean, and some kids, honestly, they might not have a shot at the NFL. So if someone's going to offer them a big chunk of money to come play, maybe they take it. But there's a lot of pieces to it. But I think at Oregon State now that there's some stability, and it's like I said, who you recruit a team first guy. You build an amazing culture that they love it, and they love their teammates. They love their coaches. They want to play there. And then you have the collective and opportunities for them to, do okay. Like I said, they might not be making the $1 million each, but they're able to, make some money, be in a great place, what that they love. So it's going to be an interesting one. Vinchik, I agree, hurts the most, just because I do think he was a starter. But then again, you can't fault someone for following their coach that recruited them, and Coach Mahalchek, and had a great relationship with. Okay, but they're gone. And so now it's time to talk about the guys that are here. And I think Oregon State did a really good job this year. Like I said, last year, I think a lot of them, it felt like they were trying to plug holes in the sinking ship. And so they really went after a lot of guys that maybe they didn't, they might have evaluated a little differently, but they just needed the bodies. This year, they went out and got guys that are going to be difference makers, especially on offense. I look at this offense, and we can talk again about defensively. It's going to be like an entire new roster. Right? Connor in the chat said that he lost count of the 2 deep guys that were out with injury last season on defense. So don't forget about those guys. But offensively, meaningful transfers in. Oregon State, probably the biggest of the bunch, obviously, quarterback Malik Murphy. Texas Duke by way of Texas. Riley Williams, tight end from Miami, who's coming home. Originally from Central Catholic. He's a Portland boy. wanted to be closer to home. Jackson Bowers, a tight end from BYU. Another one I have on the list because I think watching his film, he fits so well into Coach Bray's defense is Rajon Davis, the inside linebacker from USC. He's fast. He makes quick reads. I think he's going to be a sneaky good player to watch. And then on the offensive line, obviously Oregon State needed some players, so they went and got JT Hand and Keon Cox from Arizona and UCF respectively.
Josiah too.
And Josiah Timoteo. Yeah. So there were 3 linemen that they grabbed. But let's just start with the big one, Malik Murphy.
Yeah.
Big arm.
That's a program-changing addition right there. I mean, for Oregon State to go out and get a top 5 quarterback in the transfer portal, you can't really understate what that. I mean, it's the biggest addition for Oregon State in years. I'd argue it's a bit bigger addition than DJU was, just because of the situation Oregon State's in as a market. He's a guy that Coach Gunderson evaluated last year and wanted. 1 year later, he's here. He's a hell of a quarterback. He's huge. He's a big guy. Really excited to see what Malik can do throwing the rock. Because he doesn't have quite the rushing pedigree. Like, obviously, you watch him throw the football, especially downfield, and he has a lot of confidence throwing the ball downfield. You know what I mean? So I would say that going back and watching film of him, I think he threw 9 picks? 12 and 26. 12, but 6 of them were in 2 games. So
and I also think that for a first-time starter in a Power 4 conference with a team that won, I'm okay with those 12 picks. They're not alarming to me. But you watch, he really pushes the ball down the field. Why do you think he wasn't looked at more to rush the football? Because the couple times where I saw him either pull it on a read or in the red zone, he accelerated well. He ran through not big tackles, but he's obviously a strong guy and he plays strong. Why do you think he didn't run for more?
Yeah, I think he's got the ability. I want to say I saw he ran a 4.7 40, which is for a quarterback.
For a 6'5" quarterback, a 6'5", 230 quarterback.
40-pound quarterback is pretty good. So he's got the ability. It maybe he just doesn't necessarily like it, or that may have just been part of the Duke scheme. It was their first year with an offensive coordinator, so we don't really have any prior seasons to look back at to see if that's just an anomaly or if it's just part of, the Duke offense. But I think he's got the ability, and it'll be interesting because I think Coach Gunderson wants his quarterback to be on the mobiler side. But even then, I think even if he doesn't, I think that's where Jabari Johnson comes in. He's the best running quarterback Oregon State's had since Seth Collins. He can really run the football and can throw the ball too. So, having that change of pace in quarterback, it's a solid option.
Jake, for your money, Bari's more of a running threat than DJ?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. DJ was just kind of a put your head down, go get 4 or 5 yards, where Jabari's like an athlete. Like, not to say DJ's not an athlete. Jabari's explosive.
Yeah.
Jabari you could put him in the slot.
I think the coaching staff is going to find ways to get the ball in Jabari's hand in space.
Put him in a, in space or a fly sweep. I know it's not like his thing, but
almost.
Yeah. He's such an athlete.
Yeah.
A quick little story on Malik Murphy, just for Beaver fans out there listening. And I know Jake mentioned it. Malik Murphy was Ryan Gunderson's #1 choice last season when he came in. Malik visited. It was cut short because of weather. And Malik wanted to check out other schools. I think he was, looking for bigger names, whatever. But Coach Gunderson couldn't wait. He's like, I can't sit around and wait for you to make a decision and then lose out. Went the Johnson and McCoy route. Comes back now this year. Malik was talking to him, but then he checked out Auburn, checked out Kentucky. Meanwhile, Oregon State brings in Nevada quarterback Brendan Lewis, who is, I've heard, ready to commit. Went to call Memphis to tell Memphis that he was going to commit. Memphis talked him into taking a last-minute visit before he made his final decision. In the meantime, then Malik Murphy came out, visited, and committed. So things happen, things happen for reasons, and
it is the Wild West.
It is Wild
West right now. Like, think about we're sitting here, and we mentioned this last year about all the people transferring in and out, trying to plug holes. What will next year be like? From a year from now, it'll be probably we can't even imagine the storylines.
Well, and then the storylines. So a year ago, the going rate for a top quarterback was in the like 800,000 to 2 million range. Then Oregon goes out and spends, and Ohio State and some of these, so now this year the going rate for a quarterback is in the 1 to 3 range.
Yeah.
Even higher.
Next year, who knows? I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. And like you said, it's who's cuckoo clock?
It's an actual cuckoo clock. They put for the play. They put me up at a friend's house, a friend of the theaters, and this is the coolest house ever. But there are some cool things happening.
So from the cuckoo clock, overall, Ty, are you excited about the guys coming in?
Yeah, I just think now. I really, really hope that there's growth in the strength and conditioning and guys are healthy and we get some luck on that end, because I like this roster. I like that the coaching, that you see the confidence that the coaching staff has. Like, we didn't go get a big flashy receiver transfer in. We're okay with, we're okay with the receivers we have in the room. They seem to be very confident. We've shared privately about our concerns about the offensive line. I just think I hope guys are healthy. You know what I mean? And then get a chance to develop through 2 camps.
Okay. On Twitter, we have a comment from Alex Morgan saying, we need more defensive players from the portal. They're full. I mean, that's what we were just saying, Alex, is the fact that you're going to get a lot of guys back from injury.
Yeah.
Probably 15 to 17 guys will be back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Alex, you should be most excited about that than just having been at practices. You should be really excited about that, because there's some guys that, when healthy, would have really changed that defense last year.
Yeah. So Jake has told us spring camp starts the first week of March. Do we know spring game yet? Is it April?
My guess would be April 19th. I don't know for sure, but based off how it's been years, my guess would be the Saturday the 19th.
Perfect. So splitting it up into 2 pieces. For those that haven't been following Beaver football for a while, this was something that Coach Riley did back in the day, splitting it up. It used to be Beavs would go 4 weeks in April, and it would just be practice. Now it's go for 2 weeks, let the guys take a break in March, go 2 weeks, take a break for finals, spring break. They can go reevaluate. The coaches can sit back and look at film and really look at some things. Guys' bodies can rest, come back, and then kick things off for the second in the spring term. It extends it. It gives the staff more time, I guess, to have hands on players. It also then allows the guys who might be coming in the spring for spring term, like Jake Normoyle is one that will be coming in spring term, lets those guys be able to get in as well and get a chunk of practice. Okay, we're going to take a quick break for the podcast side. So if you're watching us live, we'll be just a quick little break. Take a quick break for the podcast. And then we're going to come back and talk some Gonzaga basketball and take some damn questions. Before that, I do want to, if you guys didn't know, Ty is a stand-up comedian. So he is performing live Wednesday, the 29th of January, and Wednesday, the 6th of February at the Lakewood Theater in Lake Oswego, 7 p.m. Get your tickets and go see Ty. He's really funny.
Come hang out.
Come hang out with him.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. Thanks, Angie.
Jake, if you didn't know, I'm going to give a plug to Clodfelters, who is not one of our sponsors, but they should be.
Yeah.
Go see Jake. Jake is a bartender also at Clods. So not only is he our fearless BeaverBlitz beat writer and down in Corvallis covering all things for us in Corvallis, he also will pour you a pint down at Clodfelters. So
when are your shifts, Jake, usually?
Friday nights, Sunday nights, and then usually 1 or 2 others throughout the week.
Cool.
Just kind of changes with like school and practices and stuff like that.
Word.
Yeah. So Clods, if you need a little, you could sponsor the damn podcast. That'd be kind of fun too.
Show up tonight before the game.
Before the game. Yes. Go head to Clods before the game.
Yeah.
$20 beer bucket specials.
$20 beer bucket specials. What is it? What is a bucket of beer now? 4 beers, 5 beers, 6 beers?
Five for 20. So you have 5 beers for $4 a pop. Not a bad deal.
I won't tell you what we paid in Puerto Vallarta.
Like
Yeah.
$20 a beer.
No, I think at the one place we went, I think Eric got 8 beers for like $20 and a water. I was drinking water. Yes.
I feel like that can't be true.
In Mexico?
It was a long story. Pacifico, I believe. Anyway, okay, we'll be right back. Pop in an ad for the podcast, and we'll be back to talk Gonzaga.
Are we still going to talk about the JC ruling?
We can. Okay, welcome back to the damn podcast. One thing we didn't, and Ty brought it up and reminded me. Oregon State actually, before we jump into basketball, there was a ruling giving junior college athletes that had transferred to Division I an extra year of eligibility. So we know for a fact Tyrese Ivey and Nico Taylor are back,
And
Jake Sanders, and then there's also talk that maybe Josh Green, which might be they're all big, but Josh Green might be a huge addition. Punter Josh Green.
What's the holdup there? Is there any timeline when he wants to? Because that would be huge.
They aren't sure if he qualifies for it according to Dick Daschle, because he only spent 1 year at a JUCO, and that was like in 2019, so it was pre-COVID. Whereas Tyrese and Nico are both my age, so their first 2 years at JUCOs were 21 and 22.
Okay,
so it's after COVID, so that's kind of the holdup.
Got it. So they have to just wait for the ruling there. And I did not plug BeaverBlitz, but again, if you're not a member of BeaverBlitz, definitely join the lodge. If you would have been in the lodge, you would have known probably about a week before anyone else that Coach Hayward had resigned, but officially about 13 hours before anyone else that we had that in the lodge. So try to give the members of the lodge the heads up on most breaking news before it happens. So make sure you're a member. Lots of fun things happening. Like I said, camp coming up, baseball coming up. We are a month away from Surprise, Arizona, and the baseball team number 7 ranked Beavers. So definitely now is the time to join. You won't be sorry. Okay, basketball. Number 16 Gonzaga is coming to town tonight. Beavs are 13-5. Gonzaga 14-4. This is the first meeting between the two programs since the 91-92 season, and the Beavers have won 12 straight. What happens tonight, Jake? I'm going to lean on you because you are our basketball guru.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gil's going to be pretty dang rowdy. They're expecting the highest capacity they've seen in years. I think the place is going to be pretty packed. I think there'll be a decent amount of Gonzaga fans too, because they're kind of a national brand. They travel well. Really, I'm expecting a good game. I mean, Oregon State plays really and has historically under Wayne Tinkle has played really well at home. I think Oregon State matches up well. I mean, Gonzaga is a big team. They're physical, and Oregon State's bigger than they have been in the past. I mean, you got 3 starters above 6'8". That's a pretty big team. Really, the key is for Oregon State is not turn the ball over, because we've seen turnovers kind of kill this team at times this season. Those self-inflicted errors, and I also think rebounding is going to be very key, because this is a Gonzaga team that can, they can score, they can rebound very well. So any missed shots Gonzaga has, you have to make sure that there's no second opportunity. Really, this is going to be the toughest team Oregon State faces all season, and it should be a hell of a game.
Yeah, it's going to be big. I know they're giving away some things for the students, so Beaver Dam should be rowdy. Jake is going as a fan tonight with his family. So
Nice.
My 17-year-old keeps texting me, asking me if he can drive down with his buddies to the game. So there's that. It is a in-demand game. Talk to me about, Gonzaga is led by their guard, who in the preview, Jake, you said Ryan Nebhard could be one of the best point guards in the country. Tell me about his game. I
mean, this kid is legit. I mean, he's averaging almost 10 assists a night, which is in college is
nuts,
pretty unheard of. He's a guy who's a legit NBA caliber player. I think he's going to have a long career in the NBA. He's not their go-to guy. He's not their leading scorer, but he's the kind of the heartbeat of the team. He's got some good guys around him. Graham Ike, the center, he can shoot the ball and he can score inside as well. He's kind of a 3-level scorer from a big, which is a scary thing to try and defend. They've got good scoring on the wing with Khalif Battle, Dusty Stromer, and then they've got 2 other solid bigs in Ben Gregg, a local kid from Clackamas who I actually played travel basketball with as a kid, and Braden Huff as well. So it's really a deep team that's arguably the best coach team in the country. It's going to be a really good game. I'm excited to check it out.
What's the key for a Beaver win?
Again, I just think take care of the basketball. I think having the home court crowd behind them is going to be it's going to get this team pretty energetic, but they've got to not let their emotions get the best of them. Like, they can't start going hyper on offense. They have to slow down and play their brand of basketball, take care of the ball, and if they do that and they can defend, Oregon State's upset top teams at home in the past, and this could be another case of that.
Yeah, so this game is an 8:00 tip-off on CBS Sportsnet. Rich Waltz, Dan Dickow, and then Emily Proud. So if you guys watch, I've been on with Emily Proud. She does 24/7 broadcasts as well. So she'll be the sideline reporter tonight. Dan Dickow, come on. Gonna let a Gonzaga alum call the game. I don't know where I was going with that. So Jake will be there. Family, it's going to be a big one. What has been your biggest surprise, Jake, of this Oregon State men's basketball team this season so far?
I think how they've played defensively. Statistically, Oregon State's among the nation's top defensive teams, and I think a big part of that's kind of the European flavor of this team. I think if you kind of look at how American high school, not necessarily American high school, but American AAU basketball is played, I feel like it's not a lot of team basketball. It's just a lot of one-on-one, not a lot of defense being played. And I think if you go over to Europe, you're seeing team basketball being played. You're seeing guys defend. And again, I think the American guys that Lintico has, DeMarco Minor, Kings, JoJo Lake, they fit that European mold. The team basketball, great defenders. So I think having that foreign pipeline has made this team selfless and really good on defense, which is something that I don't think you're seeing a whole lot of in college basketball. And that's a great sign. And credit to Wayne Tinkle for seeing that his old footprint wasn't necessarily working out. So he shifted, tried something new, brought in Chris Haslam from Utah State, who's one of the top forward recruiters in the country, and it's paying off through 18 games, 17 games.
They're a lot more fun to watch too. It's been fun. Okay, you guys want to anything else with basketball? Ty, you got anything we want to jump to some damn questions?
No, I was replying to a message. You might have mentioned it. Sorry if you did. How do you feel about that back half of that schedule? Because it looks like we're flirting with a tournament appearance.
Yeah, the one thing is Oregon State has to take one of their quad one opportunities, and they have a big one tonight. They're 0-4 in their current quad ones. They have one this weekend at Gonzaga. I think they have one I think they have another one on Saturday against San Francisco. I think that's classified as a quad one. And then they'll have St. Mary's 2 times, which will both be quad ones. Same with their second matchup against Gonzaga. So they really just have to take advantage of those opportunities, and they have to win games on the road, which has been what has really been the downfall of the Wayne Tinkle tenure, has been the inability to do that. So hopefully they can, take care of the games that they should, and then pick off St. Mary's or Gonzaga once or twice and end up with a case to be on the NCAA tournament bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched the game down at Loyola Marymount, and first of all, it was a small gym, and they didn't play great, and the road is going to be a big one. Okay, let's jump into some damn questions because I have a ton of them. I don't know. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. We're in the lodge of BeaverBlitz. I'm going to grab these tight. where is the explosion going to come from in the passing offense?
I mean, I think having a quarterback that can push the ball down the field a lot more is going to help. But even then, I think Oregon State's they've got some depth at receiver now. I mean, they got guys that can do a lot of different things. I think you're going to see Darius Clemens and Taz Reddick continue to improve. I think Taz is a guy that could be a really good heat threat down the field. Zach Card as well with Zach Card's speed, and you got Trent Walker, who's proven himself to be Oregon State's best receiver. He's not going to kill you with speed, but he's going to be a guy that'll go out and get you 7 catches for 70 yards. And I think having that mixture of abilities in the receiving room paired with the quarterback that can push the ball down the field is going to really improve Oregon State's passing game in 2025.
How about the tight ends? What do you see? Bringing in a couple big-time tight ends.
Yeah.
How's Walson healing? Have we got any news on that front?
The goal is to have him back for spring or for fall camp.
Man, I wish we had him back for spring, but good. Yeah.
And the other thing that we had talked about off, in our little text string is Micaiah Tongue is back. I know that's not offense, but he is practicing right now. So
fantastic.
Great to hear because he has been through a lot.
Root for that guy, like Alton, Julian, like root for that guy.
Yeah. Okay, Gordon B 0717. This one is multifaceted here. He said, rate the following position groups heading into spring camp on a scale of 1 to 5. But his rating's a little different. His rating 1 is that you couldn't be concerned. You're not concerned at all. You're losing 0 sleep over it. Rating of 3 indicates that you think there's work to be done. And his rating of 5 indicates 5 alarm fire. Okay, panic button. Quarterbacks.
I'd say probably a 2. It looks good, just haven't seen it in person yet. That's where the hiccup is. Fully confident. I just need to see it with my own eyes first. And then
I'd say between a 1 and a 2 with quarterbacks. You got a proven backup there in Jabari. So at least proven in that he's gotten snaps and succeeded at times.
Running backs.
1. Not worried. I think with Hank and Sala, Jake Reichel, Cornell Hatcher, and then I think Corday Glass, the freshman, is going to be a pretty good one as well.
Yeah, 1. Knock on wood for health reasons, but 1.
Yeah.
Okay, receivers.
3.
I'd say a 2.
Well, good.
Yeah. I feel confident. I just still need to see the development and the jump forward, and then I'll be pretty confident.
Yeah, I'd say a 2.5. I guess I just you hope that Clemens has the
step
back
forward.
half of the back half of the season they had. Yeah.
Tight ends.
I'd say probably 3, just because haven't seen any of them yet in the production. I want to say there's outside of Riley Williams, there's 9 career catches in that tight end room.
Yeah.
And they're all from Caulfield, so
It's going to be really interesting, though, like you said, back to the quarterbacks, is I think so much of this hinges on that quarterback relationship.
Because, sometimes with those higher rated guys, like for every Anthony Hankerson, there's a DJ Westlock, where it's a highly rated guy that comes in and you can tell he's like, okay, he's not going to contribute. So, again, we think they're going to contribute, but, there's always a chance that they don't.
Yeah. Okay, now this is the big one. The next 2 are the biggest, I think, for fans. Offensive line.
4.
4.
Yeah.
3.5, 4. Yeah.
I'm not ready to push panic button yet, but there's a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah, you gotta I think you hope that the storylines like it is with the defensive line, that it's like, hold on, wait, don't worry, we're getting a lot of guys back, like the Morenos of the world, the Strands of the world. You're hoping those guys come back from injuries and continue their trajectory. Yeah, and the guys we got weren't exactly huge contributors at their previous stops. They were contributors, but other than not a lot of guys have strung together a bunch of starts,
But that could be a benefit because a lot of it's going to be how they meld together as a unit. So maybe not having a lot of snaps can equate to them gelling and kind of gelling into Coach Devan's system. Yeah.
Something tells me that Malik Murphy will be under a lot of pressure early on in the camps,
Okay. This is the second most maybe even above offensive line, defensive line.
Are we including outside linebackers with defensive.
Well, they actually indicated that they wanted linebackers, including outside linebackers. So just
Okay. 4.5. 4.
yeah.
Well, oh, really? I thought you were going to feel more confident that with the people returning from India.
Well, I mean, I'm including Takari Hickle with the outside linebackers just because, like, I'm including like the edges as outside backers.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, I'm thinking like the 2 interior defensive tackle spots.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Collins, Norris,
Pomea.
Schuster, Pomea, Tajay Molex, and Johnson. Again, I just need to see the step forward.
Staff is really high on Mullix.
Yeah.
Just because I think they say he's undersized, but he's coming from a program that didn't even have like a training table or any like really specific training.
Okay.
I think they feel good that they can get him in, add good weight. So we'll see. But I think there's concern there. And then then going to the linebackers, including the outside linebackers.
2. I mean, I think if you look at the depth, and I'd argue say close to 1 even. I think with the depth this outside linebacker room has with Takari Hickle, Nico Taylor, Zakai Saez, Shamar Michael, Olumatoshu, Kai Wallen, Andy Alfieri, Walker Harris. That's 8 guys right there. That's deep.
Okay, but what do you say to the people that said we didn't get a lot of pressure last year?
Again, I think that was a lot because there wasn't any interior push.
Yeah,
I think also,
yeah.
I think there wasn't a ton of, stunts and, ways to get the edge rushers more involved. And I think with the depth Oregon State's kind of accumulated there.
Kelsey, is Kelsey looking good?
Kelsey too is another one in that group.
Yeah.
Haven't heard. I mean,
Okay.
haven't really heard.
Yeah. Okay, secondary.
I think if Patterson continues to progress, I think you got to love you're getting Colby back, Singleton's back, and then Ayers. Yeah.
Mason
Crandall.
White will back. TJ Crandall's a new addition.
I would say I would be a cautious 2.
Yeah.
At cautious 2.5, just because, man, we looked like to quote my brother, we looked like our eyes were wrong at times,
Yeah, I would say that inside linebackers look like that at times. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, several positions.
Yeah.
I'd go 2 as well. I think the depth in this room is a lot better than it was a season ago. I think the Beavers have 6 safeties if Harlem Howard's healthy that they can count on. They got 5 corners, 6 if Trey Glasper comes in and does what I think he'll do. And then, getting Hobel Thomas back to pair with Simon and Raleigh. I think they got 2 solid nickel backs as well.
Good call.
Yeah, this defense has a chance to be much better.
I think it'll be a lot better.
You got me excited about the outside linebackers because I kind of like Michael, and I thought Saez had flashes last year.
Yeah, and then with Takar Hickle and Hiko Taylor, those 2 are both great, and then the depth is just they're legitimate 4 deep at each of those spots. Like I'd be confident throwing. I guess I haven't seen Walker Harris or Kai Pauline play yet, but I would say
Nico Taylor didn't really even start kind of scratching the surface of what we could see from him till the last quarter of the season.
Yeah. I think Shamar Michael as well is going to be a guy who I know people around the program are very high on him and think he's going to be very special.
And I like Ty said,
I think he was like 210 last year, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think he was like 6'3", 210 on the roster. Now imagine him with 20, 30 pounds on him.
Yeah. And then like Ty brought up a name that I'm excited to see this spring and fall is Jaheim Patterson. So I think he started to really kind of show his length.
I think the coach that I'm literally watching the most this year, I'll be so curious, is our strength and conditioning coach. And of course, that's not, injuries don't all fall on that, but I'll be really interested.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So that was a really good question. Okay. So Gordon B0717 has another question. Would you recommend booking a trip to Omaha in mid to late June this year?
Yes, I would. I think through conversations I've had with Mark Harland, who I don't know if Oregon State fans all know who that is. He's a great college baseball mind. He works for College Baseball Central. Huge Oregon State fan. I talked to him a couple days ago, and he is excited. I've got a preview coming out in a week or two, and I was just kind of picking his brain to just kind of see if what he thought matched up with what I thought. And yeah, it does. I think this team is going to be very good. I think the pitching staff is the deepest it's been in years. The bullpen should be elite this year. I think the offense is going to be solid. Oregon State's got a couple high-impact freshmen. I think it's going to be a really special year.
There you go.
Pretty excited. Yeah.
Jake is super excited. Okay. Watch It Beaver said, where do you see our NIL level moving forward?
It surprised me this year. It surprised me a lot. So hopefully up. I think we're in a better spot than a lot of people think we are.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to all, Digital Jam, all those guys. Like, I think once you just because again, it's like undiscovered territory. This is new,
Yeah.
But then you kind of hear about other people having mentioned things, and of course the Blue Bloods have it together because I mean, they can even make errors and still, but it seems like we have a really organized, concerted effort. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's and Oregon State does. And they always have had some really good booster support. Let's see, Mr. G Gray. Nice to see him still around. This is more of a fun question. How did and do you feel about the first half of the Rose Bowl?
I felt fantastic.
Jake texts me from the second quarter, and he sends me the No Natty guy, which still makes me laugh every time I see it. And I text him back. I'm like, okay, a little too soon, Jake. A little too soon.
And then Trayvon Henderson broke a 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah. But that still, I had to actually show all of my friends down in Mexico who are all Beaver fans who hadn't even seen No Natty guy, but it was kind of.
I would love to meet that man.
Yes, we need to get him on the damn podcast.
For real,
who he is. If anybody knows who the No Natty guy is,
send him my way.
Yeah, send him Jake in my way. We'll get him on the podcast because it brings me laughs every single year.
It's a classic.
That was okay. So national championship game on Monday. Who do you like?
I got the Buckeyes. I'll be nice. I'm not sold on Will Howard. I just think the team around him I think the team around him is too talented. I think Marcus Freeman's a better coach than Ryan Day. But I just think both the quarterbacks aren't great. But I think Ohio State having all the guys around Howard that they do kind of outweighs all the guys that Notre Dame has. I think Notre Dame also missing their best defensive lineman is a big loss as well. I've got the Buckeyes.
What do you got, Ty?
I got to go. I just think the football they're playing right now, I think I'd have to go with the Buckeyes too, just because they're catching their stride at the right time.
I mean, they dominated a very good Oregon team.
Yeah.
Dominated. Mm-hmm. And I've always I'm going to sound like a girl here, but I have always been a Notre Dame hater. Never liked them. I grew up a USC fan and just never liked. But I like their coach a lot. Marcus Freeman just seems like such a class act, regular guy. Really like them. So, but I think the Buckeyes are just. Like I said, the way they dominated a very good Oregon team.
Yeah.
Is he a Notre Dame to win? Don't think.
No, actually, Marcus Freeman played at Ohio State.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He played there when Jim Tressel was there. 05-08.
So, okay. So, dad of two Beavs. Baseball has 56 games on the schedule. How many do the Beavs win? He's at 50. He's at 46.
Yeah, I think around there. I think there's some sneaky tough games. You got Virginia, their second week of the season. They're the second ranked team in the country. Playing a series against the Ducks will be a great series. Nebraska's a top 25 team, and then playing UC Irvine, Dread Canyons, they aren't slouches. I'd argue the schedule is actually just as good, if not better, than it would have been in the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 is pretty weak. But anything less than 40 would be a massive disappointment, and I think realistically 45 to 50 is kind of the hot spot. Just because it's baseball. You're gonna drop games.
Chris Moreno says, "Don't sleep on Cal Poly." Laughing
Yeah,
emoji.
solid squad too. I mean, I think the Big West is a great baseball conference. And I'm glad Oregon State's kind of got their scheduling deal. I thought Coach Canham did a pretty good job at that. So I'm excited. It's going to be a hell of a year.
Good. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get down to Surprise.
I'm trying to go down. I've never been. I want to go. Oh, instead of Surprise, I'm trying to go to the tournament with Virginia. I'm not sure if that's one in Texas or Arkansas, but I want to go that one.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how I can go down and see my kid, but he's still in a dorm or an apartment dorm on GCU campus, so I can't stay with him. And yeah, anyway, I keep trying to figure out how I can finagle that one, but probably not in the cards. Okay, tonight, huge game, 8 p.m. CBS Sportsnet. If you're not in Gill, otherwise be in Gill. Stop at Claude's beforehand to see Jake, and we'll be back in probably in a week or so.
Baseball preview
and signing day. And I say signing day in air quotes here because it's going to be it's not as big as the December one.
And we've got allegedly we've got movement with the new Pac-12 editions coming in March too. So
yes, so there'll be some stuff to talk about. So we'll definitely do a baseball preview. I am going to be out of town, but I will be available. I've kind of got this is the first signing day I'm going to actually be out of town. But
that means there's definitely going to be a signing day surprise.
There is definitely going to be some big surprises, right? Because I will have my computer with me. It just happens to be a big birthday for someone on this screen, and someone is getting out of Dodge with her girlfriends for that.
Nice. Good for you.
But yes, I will have my computer with me because, as you guys know, big things happen when I leave town. So in the meantime, go Beavs tonight versus Gonzaga. I'm Angie. We got Jake. We got Ty. Thanks, fellas. And we'll be back next time for another episode of The Day.